Hey, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. It's Matt the Marine here, and today I'm going to talk to you about the importance of staying sharp. Now, as I go on throughout this video, it may remind you of some Book of Eli type stuff. And the reason is that I'm going to use some Bibles here to communicate to you the importance of staying sharp. I carried this Bible when I was in Iraq. I read through the whole New Testament, I believe, when I was there. And from me reading this, from it being exposed to the sun, from the pressure that was put on it when it was in my pack, along with I felt like 300 pounds of gear, this thing started to come apart and degrade. And I lost some of the pages. Some of the pages you can see here are ripped. And eventually I had to get a new Bible. Okay? Even this one here has signs of wear and tear. And for those of you who are survival minded like me, the whole 2 is 1, 1 is none, that does come into play here. But here's the deal. Entropy is a proven law. Things degrade, things break apart, things start to decompose, and there may be a time when you cannot get these. So the way you stay sharp is you memorize. Not only do you memorize, but you need to practice. Let me show you something here. This is new. You can see it's already got a ding in it. There's a nice little dent over here. Hopefully that shows up on camera. Of course, if I pull this out, it's already starting to wear down. This is new and it's starting to wear down. When you get new information, one of the ways you can stay sharp is to try to memorize all that information verbatim and then go out and practice it, use it. When you have information you're not using, it becomes stale sometimes and harder to recall, especially under stress. A lot of people will tell you, I'm just going to carry an extra this, I'm going to carry a survival guide. Okay, that's cool, but what happens when you can't carry extra stuff? Or what happens when, due to your situation, all your references are starting to fall apart? You're going to come upon a situation where you're not going to be able to look it up. You're going to have to know it. Now, if anyone saw the Book of Eli, they would know that the main character, he had the whole Bible memorized. And then at the end, he was able to sit down after he had cleaned himself and I think shaven his head and dressed ceremonially, and he was able to recall word by word what was in his Bible. Now, to me, the Bible is a reference book. I believe it's literal history. Yeah, there are some good morality lessons in here. I believe it's God's word. But if you think about it, this is a reference book. If you ever hear, maybe you had a grandma that was a Christian and you weren't exactly truthful to her, she would tell you things like, thou shalt not lie. Well, she got that out of here. This was what she was referencing. Or, somebody may say, John 3:16. Okay, that's a reference. So this is a reference. Your references, they need to stay active knowledge. That's how you're going to stay sharp. When I use this knife, okay, there's a video where I do a review on this knife, and I push it through a tire. I puncture a tire with this multiple times. When I was done, I took it home and I cleaned it. I maintained this. This is an active tool in my arsenal and in my gear, okay? I maintain this. I know I sound repetitive here, but they say when you give a speech, people only remember a certain percentage of what you say. So if most of what I say repeats itself, hopefully you'll maintain most of that information. Keep your knowledge active. Go out there and practice it. Teach it. You don't know something unless you're teaching it. So if you want to stay sharp, start sharpening other people. I'm sorry if you're not a Christian. I'm not here to preach at you, but the Bible does say, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. If you want to be the sharpest tool you can possibly be for the side of good, for helping to save lives and things like that, you need to teach other people, and that will actually help sharpen your own skills. You need to not only practice them, but you need to practice them under stress. I really value my boot camp experience in the Marines because they're always yelling at you. They're always putting you in stressful situations, and you have to be able to deal with that and think and perform. That's reality. That is reality-based training right there. Try to get yourself some reality-based training. There's a story I want to share with you, and it's in a book called Jesus Freaks. And what happened is there's a band called DC Talk. They're a Christian rock band, and they had an album called Jesus Freaks, but then they went ahead and wrote a book called Jesus Freaks. And it's about all these different martyrs throughout time, history, things like that. And there's a story of this guy. He's a Chinese guy. I don't know if he's a minister or a doctor or what, but he ends up being put in a communist prison, and there's a pipe in there, and water comes out of the pipe, and he has to use that water to drink, to bathe himself, and to wash human waste out of the cell. And sometimes he has to share that cell or that room with multiple other people, some of whom are actually condemned to die. So this guy was the last person that these people would come across before they died. And this is relevant to survival because you may be the last person someone comes across before they die. And you may be able to help them live, or if your knowledge is not sharp and you're not able to perform under stress, those people may perish because of you, okay? Now, this guy, what he did was he used some of the soap he got, and he wrote notes for a book he was writing. I think it was called God the Creator or something like that. And it ended up being like he wrote a pretty lengthy book based on the notes he had, and he was able to lead people to God, all right? And I've heard other stories where prisoners would pass notes through, cigarette cartons or whatnot. But he used his knowledge, and he found ways to keep his knowledge crisp and sharp to the point where he even made another reference. Excuse me, I'm banging this thing around. He made another reference using soap. That's something else you can do in a survival situation. If you have a way of writing stuff down, write stuff down, record stuff, anything that's important that you need, reconnaissance information. I know in the Army they had an acronym. It was SALUTE: size, arms, location, unit, time, equipment. Michael Hawk has this acronym he uses: STOP, which is situation, threat, observation, plan. Write stuff like that down, okay? That's going to help you keep your knowledge sharp, okay? So if your references are wearing out, you can try to make new ones. But there is a chance, possibly even a high chance, that you won't be able to do that. You won't have stuff to write with. It's going to be what you know in your brain and how well you have trained your body to be able to do those things under stress, under life-threatening conditions. And you're going to have to do them not only for yourself, but other people. So very much like this knife right here, I can use it to my good. I can use it to save my life. If I pass it on to someone else and they know what to do, they can use it to save their life. All right, your knowledge needs to be able to save other people as well as yourself, much like this knife has the potential to do. Now, of course, this knife is not going to do anything without a brain behind it, but the principle, in my belief, is sound. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope this helps you out. I'm going to make some more commentaries like this, and if you don't have a good survival guide, get two. You may not always be able to carry one, but buy two, carry one on you, store someone somewhere, or store one of them somewhere else. Memorize the whole thing, practice it. Maybe make a schedule where you practice certain skills on certain days, certain times of the years, things like that. Just stay active in what you do as far as survival goes. I like to take martial arts. If I don't go to class, I don't stay in good fighting shape, and my technique gets sloppy. Some of these skills are perishable. So go out there and get awesome at these things, and make sure you're not sloppy, and make sure that you can perform. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe or leave a comment. And yeah, thanks a lot. Semper Fi, and God bless.